everyone, it is Shavana, your future physician that you will soon know around the world. I wanted to get on today and talk about when it is taking too long to become a doctor of medicine. And also, I want to say thank you guys for giving me 100 subscribers. I looked and I was like, oh, wow, now I have 100 subscribers. I think it might be a little bit more, but I thank you guys for tuning in and supporting my channel. But yes, let's definitely get into this message on today. Okay, so the base of this message is desire without knowledge is not good. How much more hasty feet miss the way. Now, when I read this scripture, I had to take a moment and think about how, even now, as I'm a medical student, how rushing actually cost me time. It cost me time and it cost me money at the same time. It was costing me in ways that I didn't know because I was missing out on information that I needed for this time in my education, and only for me to get here and be like, why did you not fully engage when you were going through and didn't have to have that huge expense of medical school now? Because the time cost, you're costing yourself time by if you have to retake a course because you don't have it fully down. And I'm not saying that you're gonna learn everything in your pre-med, because you're not. You're not gonna learn nothing at all. What you're doing in pre-med is different from what medical school is. There's a difference between physiology in undergrad and now you're in medical school. There's medical school physiology. Those are two different things. You're not gonna learn everything that you need to while you're in your pre-med that is for medical school. But what it is doing is creating a base for you that you need when you do get to medical school. All right, so like I said, that was the purpose of this message, because when you get here, you start to realize how long this takes. And mine, as a non-traditional student, took a little bit longer than what it is, and now it's actually been extended because I already did 2 years of medical school. I did 2 years of medical school, not no prereqs. I did 2 years of medical school, and where I am now, I had to start over. Okay, so I don't know. I haven't gotten to that part yet. I left my last school, and in me leaving my last school, I had to start over. So there's so many people like, oh, are you in residency now? Where are you at? Are you going into clinicals? Absolutely not. I'm back in my first year of school, starting over from the beginning, taking the same classes I just got out of. Because some of the schools say, they're like, at some point that they may use your credits. Some of the schools do not follow the same guidelines. A lot of people in the Caribbean are thinking that if they go to Caribbean schools, that they have the same curriculum at each school. No, each school has its own curriculum. And just because they have the same classes, they can be out of sequence. So something I might have took in my first semester at one school could be in the 5th semester or the 2nd semester at another institution. So you may think that they're going to be like, oh, you can come here and transfer your credits. No. So that's another thing to think about when you go into these different schools, because you may think that, okay, I'm going to change institutions, but in you changing institutions, all your credits may not go, or none of them may go at all, which is the situation that I was in. All right. And some of you may have just started, as in you're in your pre-med track and you're excited about being a doctor of medicine. And then once you finally finish the pre-med track, then you go to take your MCAT. And then what if you don't do well in that MCAT? So now you got to take time off to study again for the MCAT. Some people have to take gap years. Some people have to go back to do a master's program or a special master's program, or some people start medical school and then they end up having to extend their journey to medical school, or some people are still just trying to get into medical school. Okay, because life got in the way, and then it is prolonged their journey even more because now they can't even apply because of life. And I remember years ago, I didn't want to start medical school and I wanted to do a different career because this takes too long. And not the very thing that I said back then, my journey has been extended. So that was my personal frustration. All of this, as you can see, like I said, my journey was extended. This is why I didn't want to go. That was a frustration of having why I didn't want to choose this journey, because you have the MCAT, and not only that, the MCAT, then like I said, life gets in the way. But not only just the life, it was, what if once you get there, now your journey is postponed, which it was like mine. And for some of people, this is not, we already know how this is for people that have money. And for those who don't have money, this is really not for those who are low on funds like that, because you have to get in and get what you need at the time that you have been accepted. There is no let me keep retaking things and spending more money out and more money on exams and more money to move and more money to go to this school. More like you realize that you are almost $500,000 in debt and you don't even have a degree in medicine yet. So that becomes another frustration of why. Because I didn't know I had to be a millionaire before I chose this career. And this is why you can't choose this career for money, because you really have to truly want to be a doctor to take all of these years to dedicate your life to this. In this instance, I feel like being a doctor has to be a call, because you need endurance to keep going. You need strength to study continuously. And most of all, you need God. Because this is the reason that, not many people choose this path, because it takes too long. And honestly, to stay in it, there has to be a purpose or a reason for you to do it. Money cannot be the reason, because guess what? Go do another career and get almost the same amount of money. You can be an entrepreneur, you can go be an anesthesiologist tech. You don't have to be a doctor of medicine. So at the end of the day, this has to be a call, because nobody wants to keep delaying gratification or delaying their life for a career that, okay, this pays off later. But that's a problem too when you're already older and now this pays off later. So now I'm mentioning, if life gets in the way, it's going to take us a little bit longer than what we thought. So like I mentioned in the previous cases, that all of these different scenarios start to come into play, and then we start seeing how the time for you from where you are now to become a doctor gets longer and longer. But in that time, you want to rush, and we're not realizing that when we rush, it is actually causing us to miss things that we need, foundational things that we need for medical school. Because in my journey of getting to medical school, I was rushing through pre-med, rushing through my master's program, and I looked at everything as a requirement. I didn't look at things as if it was something that I needed to help my life be a little bit more easier when I got to medical school. I said, oh, this is what they want me to do? Let me go ahead and do that and be done with that. I didn't look at it as a basis for everything that I'm learning. I need to make sure that I make a note of this and make sure that I'm continuously studying it so that I can be the most efficient student when I get to medical school. I'm saying that the same things that I was rushing through were the same fundamentals that I was going to be met with, the same basics that I was going to be met with when I got to medical school. I actually should have learned them at that time when I was going through the process, but I was not as, I guess I would leave it to, I was not as mature back then to put those things together to realize you're going to need this for where you're going. These are not just prereqs to mark off as a requirement. This is needed for who you're becoming, and you need to take this a little bit more serious. Not saying I wasn't taking it serious then. I didn't understand the level of seriousness until I got into medical school and realized some of the stuff that were the basic foundations, that should have actually been ingrained in me to carry me throughout my medical education, because you need that basic information. So like I said, in all of that, once you finally decide to become a doctor of medicine, you start to realize that a huge part of that is delayed gratification, and the life you once thought you were going to live, that life is no longer the life you're going to live on the time that you thought it was going to be on. Now it's about you becoming this doctor of medicine. So you have to postpone all of your sometimes you don't have to postpone everything, but a lot of the stuff that you have to postpone could be from relational goals to financial goals to purchasing your first home to having a child. A lot of that stuff takes support. You can do whatever you want to do as becoming this doctor of medicine, but if you don't have the support, it's going to actually be 10 times harder for you to get a lot of this stuff done, because you need the money, you need the support of your family. Like when we go to medical school, that actually is on the backs of a lot of people around us. Everybody is going to medical school with you, and I can see right now how me being in medical school, it is the truth. Everybody around me is going to medical school with me. My family, everybody feels the same burden. They may not know physically what I'm doing every day and how this can wear on you mentally, but everybody is going through medical school with me. And so it affects every aspect of your life. So that can be where, when we start realizing how, in being a non-traditional student, everything gets stretched out and it's not on the time that we thought it was going to be on. And then we begin to rush. And then when they add on another thing, oh, now you got to take this class. Now you got to go back to school and do this. Now you got to take the MCAT another time. We don't want to do all of that stuff, because we are looking at how much time this is going to take, and some of us don't have the money to keep doing that either. We're ready to start our lives. We're ready to start our careers. And honestly, in this, You just have to kind of take it for what it is, because there is no way for you to start your life right now. But you can still live your life right now. You don't have to wait to live. You can live your life right now. The thing is, it's a lot of stuff that is delayed while doing that. But the purpose of this message today is to talk about how desire without knowledge is not good, and how much more hasty feet miss the way. So we can be desiring to be a doctor of medicine, but not realizing we need that knowledge, because if we don't have that knowledge and what we think we're doing, we're missing out on a lot of key things. And you don't want to rush this process. And not only that, this is helping you with your future patients. And as we go throughout this video, I'll actually expound on that a little bit more about why you shouldn't rush and what rushing really does in the process of becoming a doctor of medicine. So before I started medical school, I had not one, not the two, but 3 prep programs. And in all of these programs, I still couldn't catch the fact that they were preparing me for medical school or how to even learn, because I did not know the classes for medical school. And I said that in one of my other videos, that because I didn't know the classes for medical school, and how some people tell you like, oh, you don't need some of that stuff, you don't need pharm, you don't need that, you're not even gonna need that when you become a doctor. No, I need everything. Actually, I need all of these classes, because the foundation and the basis that they're giving us, from the prereqs to them special master's programs, to all the classes that you think you don't need to take, or you think you're tired of learning in, that was my same mindset. I thought I did not need to take them classes. I'm like, when I get to medical school, this ain't even a thing. So that tells you how I did not know what it meant to be a doctor of medicine, or what classes I needed to take, because the same classes that all of these prep programs were giving me were the same classes that I was met with when I got to medical school. Like I said, everything that people say you don't need, every step is preparing you for the next step. We hear this all the time. If you've been in church, you hear it all the time. Everything you're doing, all things work together. And in this instance, they really do. All things work together for the good of them who love God and are called according to his purpose, period. Okay? Because everything you're learning is going to help you at some state in medicine. You may not think that chemistry is helping you, but when you get to biochem and you realize you're going through all of those cycles and the fatty acid synthesis and this and you got the glucose, you start to realize how all those carbons and stuff that you thought you didn't need, and how some of the names and the foundations of that stuff you thought you didn't need, it shows back up in another form. It's just not how you thought it was going to show up. All right. So but now, where I'm at now, in a different space in my life, in a different mindset, I'm like, I need to know. And I need to know this material. And you know how a lot of us be like, oh, why are they trying to have us know everything? We can't know everything for an exam, but you have to know everything. It's so crazy. It's a lot of stuff that I would say, and I'm like, but we actually have to know this stuff. There cannot be a point where I don't know. And you won't know everything, but that's where it comes in, where you got to take the extra time that you may have to learn stuff that you don't know all the way. All right, what I want to say is, do yourself a favor and learn what you need to learn on the level that you're on, because even though it seems like nothing now, just know without it, you are going to make your journey a little bit harder. From the terminology, from the foundations, from the basics of everything, it shows up, but it just don't show up how you think it's going to show up. And if you can recall that information, God can't bring back to your remembrance nothing that you ever put in. If you like, oh, blah, 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 I don't have to read this, I have to know this, whatever. Oh, let me just pass this exam. I was one of them too. I just wanted to pass the exam, and as long as I passed it, that didn't mean that I knew it. That didn't mean that I really understood the information. I was just doing whatever to remember it and move on and go to the next module. And one thing that God had made me think about was, I can't rush my way into giving someone a diagnosis of a case that I haven't put much thought into. And I noticed that when I did my physiology class at my last school, I'm the one that was like, okay, let's get this done. Like I said about rushing, let's get this done. I'm tired of this. What is all this? And we know physiology is conceptual. You have to actually think. There is no this straightforward. It's not straightforward at all. You really have to know the ins and out of what's going on, from the endocrine system to the hormones, just everything that is happening, from action potentials to the cardiovascular system, renal system. You have to know the stuff that is going on, because you can't give a real diagnosis if you are rushing your way through something, and now you're giving the wrong medication. All right. So I noticed that when I was doing that physiology class, and I was like, so how you gonna rush through this? Because it's honestly gonna take you time to figure out what's actually going on with the patient. You're not gonna know in day one, oh, this is what's happening to you. Some stuff could be that simple, but you have to take in consideration the whole person. And what even added to that was as I started doing clinical skills and we had to go through a whole comprehensive examination of the person. You're doing history taking. So history taking means I don't know you, you just came into my office and now I'm trying to figure out what's going on with you. So now I have to get history of your past medical history, your current medical history, your family life, all this stuff. So how can I rush through that? If I'm rushing through a comprehensive examination, that means I'm missing key details about this person. And just to think, what if I don't ask you, well, what allergies do you have? And I end up giving you a medication that causes you to be in the hospital because of my haste. I'm not doing my job at your expense. And that's the same way with these classes. A lot of us want to get to medical school and not realizing, dang, okay, you know what? Let's just go through the process. So like I was saying about going through the process, this further validates how hasty feet will miss the way, because in our pursuit of becoming a doctor, we forget at the end of this, meeting your first patient and having others' lives in your hands. When we want to rush, we need to remember that there's a patient that wants you to take it slow, because like this is not, oh, I'm not qualified but God won't get me through. No, this is not that. This is not one of those. This is, I need to make sure I'm doing what I need to do to put myself in position to be better. This is what this is the opposite. You have to show up with everything you have and show up knowing this is one of those, if I put in the work, like I said, God will bring it back to me. This is not like your regular job where you don't have to know the info. And not saying on a regular job you don't need to know the info, but on this job you better know the info. The body is complicated, so you have to know what is going on. You have to take the time to learn these courses and be in school for all these years, because I'm working with a human. I'm not just, typing in and doing paperwork and office work that I can correct my mistakes. If I do something wrong, or if I don't do my job efficiently and really attend to the patient that is in my office, that's on me, not on the patient, because they don't know. They didn't spend this time in school, but I did. All right, so we have to be mindful of that people are coming in and their life is in our hands. So what type of doctor would I be if I'm just rushing through? But I would have been that doctor if God didn't put a halt to what I was trying to do. Because even at the last school, I was trying to rush through that and like, okay, I just want to get to making some money. I'm just trying to get out of medical school. I'm tired of taking all of these classes. And God put me right on over here and I had to start over. And that slowed me down. But it helped me mentally. Because he's like, you don't really understand still what it means to be a doctor of medicine. You don't understand the weight of this occupation, and I need you to take some time to reflect, and I need you to really know what you need to know in these classes, and you need to see what you missed when you were at the other institution that was mentally tearing you up. And lastly, what I want to say is, what does rushing do? It causes you to miss things that you should have been paying attention to. Because when you are so in a rush to get the thing, it's the joy of getting somewhere that we get caught up in, and we don't educate ourselves on where we're going, or we don't pay attention, and we just want to check things off the list. And that was me. I'm a goal-oriented individual, and I was looking at my profession that I'm going into as a goal. Like, it's a requirement, let me mark it off, and not, I really need to look at the details of this. I really need to sit down and learn this. And a lot of us, we do that in things in regular life. We want to mark things off of our list and say we did it. Hey, got the t-shirt, got everything, got the cake too. And this is not that. So in life, you can be rushing and getting into stuff that you shouldn't get into because some of the details are right in your face. But we're blinded by the excitement of getting there. We're blinded by the excitement of getting the thing that we want to get. And the haste, that's where we lead to error. Things that we should have don't last as long because of haste. we don't maintain it because of haste. We want to get it quickly, but then now that we get it, we lose it because we didn't take the time to prepare beforehand. Haste. All right. Number 2, we don't enjoy the very thing we ask God for when we're so in a rush. God will bless us with something. And I've seen this with myself too. God will bless me with something, but because I'm trying to check it off the list, I don't take time to enjoy the fact that I actually have it. I'm in it, but I'm not even realizing that you should probably enjoy this. Why are you not enjoying the things that I'm blessing you with? And I can say that I was not enjoying the things I was being blessed with. I just want God to answer my prayer and get me to where I wanted to be at and move on step by step by step. Let me mark this off my list, but I was never enjoying life because I just wanted to fulfill a requirement, just like them classes. And then I realized fulfilling the requirement is not good. I need to learn what is going on in these classes, and I need to know what is being said. You end up having to redo things because you are trying to speed through. So you're speeding through the information, and then once you're speeding through, you're missing a lot of stuff once again, but then you end up having to redo it because you're in a rush. Just like some of the classes that I took in the past. I wanted to hurry up and get through it, but then I end up having to go back and retake it at the same time. And this would be in when I was doing undergrad. I noticed some of my same prereq classes that I had to retake them because I was trying to do them at the same time as my undergrad degree, and rushing through my science courses, only had to go back and retake them. Another thing in rushing is you end up wasting money, you end up wasting time, but as we know, with God, nothing is lost. Everything is working for us. So I just wanted to leave that with you guys today, that desire without knowledge is not good. How much more hasty feet miss the way? There's stuff that we need to know, and the journey is long because the weight of this occupation requires us to know this information. We can't see a patient and think that we can easily go in, write some paperwork up, and leave. That's not how this works. So enjoy your process of becoming a doctor of medicine and knowing that it's going to work out. It may be some obstacles because this is not an easy journey, and everybody not doing it either. So let's appreciate the fact that we actually made it into medical school and that we have what it takes to get through. So don't rush your process.